那个通识教育的改革。那今天我们很荣幸邀请到山田礼子教授来帮我们演讲。那我想我不要占据太多时间，就直接让老师开始讲好了。那我们等一下老师会讲到大概5点半左右，然后后续会有一些Q&A 的时间，然后就是欢迎各位同学多多提问这样子。那好。So I introduce you to all students in Chinese. So I think I don't take too much time. You can start directly. And let's welcome Professor Yamada.
Thank you so much. And ni hao. My name is 20190523日and I come from the 同志社大学. And it is my great pleasure for me to give you the Japanese education, what is going on in Japanese society recently in English. And today's title is Changing Structure of Japanese Higher Education in the New Era. Development, first year experience, and active learning. And the reason why I picked up this first year experience, we have the many foreign students, especially from Chinese students, not the Taiwanese students. And they were so surprised to know the existence of first year seminar or first year experience in the Japanese undergraduate programs. Because in China, there is no such kind of first year seminars or first year experience. So I wanted to give the contents and why such kind of new type of seminar becomes so prevalent in Japanese society. I wanted to give you the lectures. And by the way, have you ever heard of the term of the first year seminar or first year experience in Taiwan? Please raise the hand if you know the first year seminar. Is this the first time for you to hear the word? Okay. And today's content is part 1 is higher education and policy change in Japan. Maybe there is a similarity in Taiwanese case or Taiwanese society recently. And part 2, today's Japanese first year experiences and challenges. And part 3, articulation between high school and higher education. And I suppose that this is the same applied to the Taiwanese case. There is a very big difference between the high school teaching and learning and universities teaching and learning. So the background information of Japanese higher educations. Now, rapid transformation in Japanese higher education is occurring. The massification stage to post-massification stage is going on with unprecedented speed. Have you ever heard of the word of the massification stage or post-massification stage? No? I will explain. The massification stage is most of the student population, the 18 years, less than 50% is going to the college or university. Is the massification stage. And over 50% of 18 years populations are going to the 4 years college and universities is called the post-massification stage. And now in 2002, almost 17 years ago, acceptance rate of higher education in Japan, 4-year university 80.6%, very high, and 2 years college 100%. What does it there are many prestigious universities like seven former imperial universities, cities like University of Tokyo, University of Kyoto, University of Osaka, and the University of Hokkaido, Kyushu. And also the private university like Waseda University and Keio universities, and in Kansai area, in my area, the Doshi University is also good universities. So those universities have a very competitive acceptance rate, but small universities in the district, like the very small area or small local area, all of the students who apply for the college can be accepted. That means the acceptance rate is 80.6%, and 2 years college 100%. And then what is happening? The questions raised toward the selection function candidates for higher education, the issue of student academic performance emerged. That means that compared with the former generations, academic performance of 100% acceptance rate of the generation, or 80.6% of the acceptance rate of students becomes deteriorating. And now the rate of going to 4-year university and 2-year college in 2018 was 57.9%. The proportion of female students is 45.1%. And if we include the technical college, the rate of going to higher education is over 80%, very high. And so, in Japan, the policy is centralized. That means the Ministry of Education shows the guideline and decides the policy for education. So the 2008 CCE report, that means the CCE, the Central Council for Education. That is a kind of committee for showing the guideline to the Ministry of Education, and very influential. In those days, I was one of the members of the CCE, so we made a kind of the CCE report, 2008, toward the construction for undergraduate education. It's the title of this report. And in those days, there is a pressure for quality assurance under globalization, like the same as here in Taiwan too. Globalization shows the impact on the quality assurance of education. And we made the graduate attributes. That means that at the time of the graduations, all the students are supposed to have that kind of graduate attributes, like the logical thinking or critical thinking, or collaborate with the diverse people and have the intercultural knowledge and things and so on. And government emphasized on outcome assessment. Before that, we do not believe the outcome assessment. Just we put more emphasis on the entrance exam, not the graduation. So that means that we have to transform all the system of the undergraduate education. And the 2008 CCE report made it clear that quality assurance would be strengthened by reviewing the policies of diversified universities and the flexible process of approving the establishment for reorganization of universities. That means that there are diverse kind of universities, research type of the universities, and more local type of universities, and more universities which put more emphasis on occupational type of the training. And now, all the 4 years universities and 2-year college must have the diploma policy exit, that is the graduation, and curriculum policy, how to make the curriculum, and we call the content, and content is based on the policy, curriculum policy, and the admission policy. Each university is supposed to have a clear image, what kind of student we have to admit. That, for example, diverse student, what kind of diverse student? Foreign student, or more athletes, or more older people? That means people who are in the 30 years old or more than 40 years old. That becomes required for all the universities in Japan right now. That is to make the quality assurance very effectively. And FYE, that means the first year experience in the CC before 2008. The background, as I said before, worrying indication of declining academic abilities, diverse type of entrance exam, especially non-scholastic exam. That means without paper-based exam, just the interview or kind of performance of the high school days. And requires a clear admission policy and emphasize on the importance of FYE after entering the university as a prerequisite and preparations. That means, and also the Japanese high school education or secondary school education is just like the Taiwan, the more knowledge base. The students are supposed to memorize tons of the knowledge and must deal with the entrance exam or high school or university education, university entrance exam. But don't you think that teaching and learning in the university is very different from the type of the high school? Many Japanese students from the 2000 years, they criticize the difference of the university education and high school education. So we call that is the very key word is importance of transition from secondary education to the higher education, to transit from the knowledge-based learning to the more active learning, independent learning. So to support the excellent level of FIE and other transitional programs is supported by the government financially. So we provide a lot of funding for the FIE program in most of the universities in those days. And traditional transitions was made by the desire of individual high school students to study entrance exam on strictly selective basis. But in the open admission days, severe competition among universities to admit applicants to lower selection function of entrance exam. Sometimes in the local, very small universities, as I said before, 100% of acceptance rate means a lower function of selection. So the student academic performance becomes very diversified. and decline the academic ability of high school students, or they don't take required subjects. That means more in those days, high school students have the same kind of curriculum, but more selective kind of curriculum, like the United States. More elective one becomes popular in those days, high school reform. And now, another very important report in 2012. 2000 report is very epoch-making report from the Ministry of Education. In the states, in the unpredictable era, how can university play the role of making students continue to involve learning and active thinking? The message is qualitative transformation of undergraduate education. Most important message, to increase learning hours of Japanese students. That means not only in the school, in the classroom, but also after the school, by the group, for example, they made a kind of group learning and active learning with a group, more discussion and more making the group reports and presentation, like the United States. So very different from the former learning style of the Japanese student. Even today, many Japanese students think, what is the learning style of the university? What do you think of? They said, just study independently in the library, and no dialogue with classmates, no discussion. They have such kind of image of the learning. But the Japanese government, the Japanese university people want to transform such style to more active learning, more discussion, the group work, and more kind of internship type of learning. So today's Japanese first year experiences and challenges. This is a model of Japanese first year education. Undergraduate formal program is a whole, and there is a kind of different type of education, career education. In Taiwan, there is a career education. Not formal. Not formal. Additional. Co-curricular program. Right. Co-curricular program. Extracurricular. Okay. The career education in Japanese university, it used to be the extracurricular program. But now most of the universities have a kind of regular curriculum in the career education program in the regular curriculum. That means to deal with the future job and occupation. What kind of job students want to be engaged in? What is the image of the working? What is the image of to be the workers? And what is the image of your life cycle in the future? So they must learn from the first year. So the career education becomes one part of the first year experience. And introductory education, like the general education. But most of the, probably Taiwanese universities have the more discipline, like the Department of Economics, Department of Humanities, Department of Education, and so on. So they enter to that program. But Introductory education is more kind of basic kind of things which can be applied to all the disciplines, must be integrated into the first year introductory education. And it's sometimes many universities offer the universities history, like for example, my university is a private university. So there are certain type of the courses. Why those university was established in the Meiji era? Who is the entrepreneur of the founder of the universities? My university founder, Joe Nishima, was exiled from Japan in the end of the Edo period to the United States, and he studied there, and he studied Christianity in the American Divinity School, and he went to the Amherst College, and he went back to Japan, and he knew and he recognized that was very important in Meiji era, to be more modern countries. English is important. So he established the Doshisha English school. That is the starting point of our university. And also the Christianity is very important in those days. So he established our university based on the Christianity, and this becomes a very important mission of our university now. So we have three important missions. First one is internationalized idea. Second one is Christianity, and third one is more liberal kind of idea. Those are the three missions. So the students learn about the history of our university and learn about the mission of the universities and how to contribute to the society after graduation based on such kind of missions. So the students are supposed to take 3 or 4 courses of such kind of Doshisha courses. And other universities like the Hokkaido University, very famous imperial universities. But Hokkaido University was established in order to support for the Hokkaido area, the agricultural area, and all in those days the founder was Dr. Clark, is American, and they have he showed a very important message: boys be ambitious. That becomes a mission of that university. So the Hokkaido University, in case of the Hokkaido University, the president has that special courses for the first year student to show the importance of the message of the boys be ambitious. It is very sad that the girls be ambitious are not included in those days. But in those days, only the boys are accepted for the Hokkaido universities. And some other universities, like the Waseda universities or Kumamoto University, is a famous national university, also the president to give such kind of special lecture for first year students. That is the introductory education and the first year experience. And the first year experience, I wanted to explain in more detail after that. And the remedial education is very different from. Remedial education is, as I said before, the more high school becomes the most elective kind of curriculum. So the students who wanted to be the doctors or medical doctors, they didn't take the course of the biology in high school days. So sometimes, even though the medical college students are very excellent, but they don't know they did not study the biology in high school days. Instead, they took the course of physics or chemistry. So the university's department must provide the remedial kind of courses to the students who did not experience important courses in high school days. And so the first year education is an integrated idea of to support the first year student to smoothly transit from the high school days learning to the university learning, and more career to know the idea of the career and also the mission of the universities and how to adjust to the university life. And unfortunately, I don't know the case of this university student, but sometimes many Japanese universities did not come to university with the first choice, sometimes second choice or third choice or fourth choice. In such case of the student, they tend to drop out from the university. So how to change such kind of student to be more positive student? That is the essence of the first year experience. So increase the campus-wide national and international conversation and action is occurring in the 2000 years. Are the concept of FYE in Japan. And the first year experience or the first year seminar started or invented in the United States. The actuality, I know the first year experience was 2001, the year of 1999. When I went to the conference of the first year education in the United States, I was so impressed. Many applicants, many participants of the American conference want to support the first year student in order so students to be smoothly adjust to the university education and to decrease the number of the dropout students and help them to the success of the university life. That is the concept of the first year education, the first year experience. So now, get the position of FYE in higher education system in Japan. So now the 97%, already in 2007, many universities, 97% of the universities have the very similar types of first year education. And actually, in 2015, official rate of that first year education is 80%, very high. So whenever you go to the Japanese undergraduate education program, you know that each university has a special, very unique type of the first year seminars or first year education or first year experience. Sometimes extracurricular. That means one day, one night and 2 days of the training camp. All the faculties are supposed to stay with the first year student for one night, and they talk with each other, and students make the groups and sometimes games and so on, and they have a kind of good group in the classroom. That means that to support each other. If some students are not satisfied with the university, some other students help them or help them to smoothly adjust to the university. That is the concept of the first year experience. And now, diverse researches on FIE have increased and accumulation of outcome can be observed. For example, theory. How to support students, how to make student success in the university, and how to change the student attitude from the negative one to the positive one. Those become the theory and practice, and sometimes good practice and assessment. And we made too many Japanese textbooks for the first year experience. And student success adjustment and identity issues. From the psychological point of view, probably some of them are majoring in psychology. How many students are majoring in psychology?
有没有心理系的同学 ？Psychology.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
For you, I wanted to ask you, the identity issue is very important in psychology. Yes. And so the identity issues is a key for the younger people, even for the university students. So how to make the very good identity through the university life becomes an important theory and practice for the first year experience in Japanese universities. So many psychology faculties are involved in establishing the theory and good practice of first year seminar. And expansion of scholarship on the FIE, the active learning method. Active learning method is very important to become the active learner or independent learner. So the concept of learning community is, though this is a big or middle size of the classes, but do you know each other, and do you know the kind of do you have the learning community in this class? Probably it is very difficult. The learning community is based on the same topics you want to study and make the group and to make the learning community and to help each other and to do the challenge for the kind of the homework and so on with the group in the learning community. And assessment research, what is the effect of such kind of learning community, and what is the effectiveness of such kind of first year seminars. We accumulate tons of data right now, and many universities are sharing such kind of data and how to solve the issues that students are facing and how to make students success through the university undergraduate education. And content of FI program. This is very important one. The orientation and guidance, study skills. Study skills are mostly developed in all the universities. How to make the university report, not the high school kind of report. How to make the good report, or how to make the good papers, and how to use the important literature, or how to make use of the effective data or something like that. And also how to make the good presentation. The good presentation becomes very important, especially for to be recruited by the companies. Presentation skills are very important. So how to cope with the presentation skills, student learning from the first year seminars. And career education come to be regarded as a new type of FIE, as I said before. The FIE programs, including social skills and attachment to the campus, are in the stage. That means the social skills, the Japanese students are more westernized. So sometimes I'm very, sometimes in Japanese classroom, students are coming, putting the hat on the head. And usually the faculty thinks that the student put off the hat, but students do not. That kind of attitude or social skills is very important when they are interviewed by the recruitment of recruitment stage or something like that, and also how to communicate with seniors or how to communicate with elder people. That becomes very important recently. So sometimes social skills are trained by not the faculty, but also sometimes the staff of the universities as an extracurricular. And why the Japanese university introduced such kind of first year experience, first year education, or first year seminar? Those are the reasons. Decreasing dropout rate, dealing with low academic performance of students, and teaching social skills at the early stage, not the third year student or fourth year student, from the first year student, and dealing with low motivation of students, and improving student satisfaction. For universities, student satisfaction is very important. Recently, the Ministry of Education asked all the universities to show the student satisfaction survey and should be announced formally. So the satisfaction is very important. So the improved student satisfaction, in order to improve the student satisfaction, first year seminar or first year experience is very important. And one of the process of education reform, because the first year seminar, the first year experience, the first year education is very new one, introduced from the United States, and no existence in the former Japanese education. So that's a new one, and to introduce that one becomes the first step for the total education reform. And using FIE as one of the faculty development, because for the faculties, from the faculty point of view, faculties are very accustomed to teach their knowledge and their research output to the student in this kind of classroom style. But first year seminar is known more close to the first year student, and sometimes not the teachers, not the faculty, sometimes should be coordinator, or sometimes to make the student more active, they encourage the student with the word and attitude from the faculty. So that is the first step of the faculty development process. And dealing with the difference of academic performance among students. The there are too many or too diverse for students, so that the academic level is very different from. So in the United States, for example, academic, sometimes peer learning becomes very popular. That means a very good student support or support more lower motivated students to study that. in the Asian culture, it is so difficult. That because in the same age group, is it possible to get a good peer advice from the same age of the group? The Japanese students are very hesitant for getting support from the same generations. But first year seminar is a good one to help each other or to support each other. And for example, this is a satisfaction of FIE by academic disciplines. So the physical sciences, literature, or education. Education students are very positive for the first year experience, and faculty are very positive for doing the first year seminar to the students. So that they are, those discipline students are tending to learn satisfied. But the students of the faculty of law, students of the faculty of medicine, students of agriculture, veterinary, dentistry, they are not satisfied. It is very easy to imagine that those disciplines are very connected with more solid disciplines. From the first year student, the academic curriculum is very solid, and too many academic curriculum based on the disciplines. So no room to introduce the first year seminar in the more liberal type of this teaching and learning style. And the experience of active learning at the first year experience and other classes. So the practice of quiz and report periodically, that means every day, every time, is high. And students are encouraged to do literature review and by themselves. It's a little bit higher. And the experience of presentation, research, and idea is also around half. And now, useful knowledge and skills for work. And faculty returns the report with advice and comment. And now, the many universities, faculties are supposed to return the test or papers with a comment every time. Too much. And student discussion in the class. And TA and SCA are employed in the class. So the first year seminar, for example, not only a teaching assistant, that means a graduate student, working with a student, but also the SCA, we call the student assistant. In the third year student or second year student are helping the first year student. So we employ the system of the student assistant. And it is very effective for the student because it is easy for the first year student to ask the seniors or graduate student about everything, not for the faculty. And the experience active learning style like field work. Student opinion is encouraged for teaching practice. Student decide the topic in the class. This kind of things become recently important. In former days, we faculty may decide the topics in the class, but recently students select and students choose the topics and they provided the kind of such topic for every student to prepare that kind of things. And experience of active learning by academic disciplines a little bit different. The humanity and social science, they employ the active learning styles more than the STEM or medical sciences or medical sciences. And also for example, experience of presentation of research and ideas. Humanity and social science employ the student to do, encourage them to do, rather than the STEM and medical sciences. And student discussion in the class is also, there's a tendency that humanity and social science student has a more opportunity rather than the students of STEMs and medical sciences. And student decide the topic in the class is also humanity and social science students have more opportunity to decide the topic in the class rather than the student of STEM and medical sciences. So the active learning style started from the humanities and social science in Japanese higher education. So this is the context of the interview with the student who experienced the high school experience. Many students who devoted on the entrance exam. So preparation in high school days highly appreciate the FIE in the class. But some students from high school which affiliate university and 6 years of secondary education institutions already experience the contents of active learning used in FIE in the high school. That means that, for example, university sometimes has affiliated high school or junior high school. So 6 years are very long. So the students just have the more free time for active learning in the high school days rather than the high school who attached to, who focused on the entrance exam. So there are a big difference of experience between the two types of the high schools. So diverse type of the experience. And this is the evaluation of student ability and skills in United States and Japanese students. Japanese students tend to lower score on their performance of the ability and skill compared with American students. So this becomes every time issues of the reliability and validity of the student self-report of Japanese students. Because Japanese students are very, most of the students never mark excellent or never mark good performance, excellent performance, or compared with the 10% of age of generation, same age of population, we are top rank. They never mark in that way, just so, very moderate. So, but the American students tend to mark more good one and so on, which is a good kind of reliability type of the thing. So we have to have more research on that kind of self-report. And active learning methods are frequently utilized in FI class. So utilization of questions, the faculties each time ask the questions to the student. And utilization of discussion. Every time students have the time of the discussion in the group. And utilization of visuals, sometimes YouTube or sometimes kind of medias or so on. And utilization of writing. In this case of writing, students are supposed to make the group, and each student made the completion of the one topic of the writing paper in a group. And after writing the paper, they discuss the content, and they discuss the grammar and expression, and make the complete type of the paper based on the support each other. This is the writing style of utilization writing in the first year seminar type. And utilization problem solving. Sometimes this is a very unique type of the game, but students ask some of the topic with just 1,000 yen. You should go to some field work with a group of the students in a group, just 1,000 yen, and return with a kind of output. That is a kind of the field work topic, for example, and problem solving. Utilization of IT and utilization of PBL. PBL, have you ever heard of the PBL? No. Problem-based learning or project-based learning. The project-based learning becomes very popular in recent Japanese education. That means more industry people are involved in that kind of project, and they they are supposed to make one kind of group, for example. In my experience, my students are supposed to work with the people of the very famous toy companies. And the students from the psychology department and students from the faculty of engineering and students from the education, they make the one team and make the good toy for infants. From the psychological point of view, from the manufacturing kind of things, and from the education kind of things, they make that kind of products. And if such kind of product is very highly appreciated by the producer of toys company, they will, that kind of product becomes a formal product in that company. That is a project-based learning. And it starts from the, for example, Roche's case, 10 or 15 classes of PBL, but now it extended to more than 50 classes. And at the time of the 15 last classes, they present what is the project and what is the product of our team. And for example, faculties and ordinary people and companies people are making the evaluation of that kind of project. So this is good for the student to be more accustomed to the presentation when they are hired in the company. And utilization of debate, utilization of drum, utilization of role playing, and utilization of peer teaching. Those kind of things are defined as active learning method, and most of them are employed in the first year seminar or first year experience. Then, how about the articulation between FYE and other classes? Active learning method or style are not frequently utilized in other classes in Japanese undergraduate education, except the seminar and graduation study capstone program. Because like this kind of middle-sized classes, faculties are giving the lecture. Lecture size is more popular. And there is too much expectation for FIE, so the students are very highly appreciating the FIE experience. They want to extend such kind of style to all the classes. FIE functions as support for transition from high school to university. And please look at this one. this is a new kind of facilities. How to support active learning? Look at, this is we call the learning commons, the big facility, but no walls, and students and also faculty and other people are sitting together and show or present here. And other students, not only the classes, but they can look at freely the student activities. This is, for example, combination of student and also the graduate student with the regular company people and other people. So the students students stand, walking behind this scene can look at and sometimes participate freely in the discussion. This is a class of the intercultural experience in the learning commons. The foreign students and Japanese students are experiencing the tea ceremonies experience here. And this is provided in the learning commons facilities. And it is okay. And this is also the easy for domestic student and international student to have the discussion here. And this is a so-called the internationalization area. And 24 hours a day, the international drama or international news students can hear or look at even. Not the 24 hours, but 15 hours a day. So this is a case of the team working. After the class, they make the team, they are working for the team product with we call the dining style of the diners, like the family restaurant. Easy to communicate each other. And use whiteboard. Here is the same one. And this kind of dining style, food and drinks are accepted, permitted. Like here. It is a practice of the presentation by team. They make one kind of paper. This is a student of the law department. So kind of makes a paper and presentation and work together. This is an academic support area that learning supports faculties are staying here all the day. 3 faculties are supposed to station here and help the student to write a paper or sometimes to analyze the data and so on. This is a workshop area. This is a kind of presentation of the English presentations. And those are the some of the government people are looking at because easily to look at the presentation of the students. So open access to everybody here. The same as the different type of the team learning style here. So different types of the facilities. And the last one is articulation between high school and higher education. So education articulation in the United States is have you ever heard of the word of K-12? Kindergarten to the high school, K-12. But now, K-16, kindergarten to university, graduation of the university, K-16, becomes a kind of the concept of the US education. That means they have the same kind of mission or mission for cultivating students. For example, logical way of thinking, problem discovering, problem solving, and common educational methods, discussion, presentation, project-based learning. And this is the former Japanese style. Left side is non-articulation model. Elementary school, junior high school, higher education. It is separate. But now, we have the case 12 or case 16 model, making articulation for learning outcome goal and pedagogy between elementary, secondary school, and higher education. So from K-12 to K-16 model now we have. So even in the high school days, high school teaching and learning, active learning styles are positively introduced, like the discussion, presentation, problem solving, and paper writing. And that means if such kind of active learning style becomes popular and prevalent, there is no gap between the high school learning and university learning. This is a kind of default model in Japanese university right now. From non-articulation model to the articulation model. Okay, so as a conclusions, now new era in Japanese education, that means the policy shift from just a research-oriented faculty or research-oriented university to more educational-oriented university, to transform from the research-oriented university to a more education-oriented university. Japanese universities come to emphasize the learning outcomes of the student. And Japanese FYE have developed in a decade, and active learning becomes to be introduced in Japanese FYE. And articulation between high school and higher education is now developing, but it takes a little bit time to be prevalent. So it takes more time that the high school articulation between high school and university becomes more smoothly, becomes more smooth. It takes more time, around 5 years or so on. But after 5 years, we suppose that more than 50% of high school students experience active learning style in high school days. So it becomes easier for them to be adjusted to the active learners or independent learners through the university education, university teaching and learning. And thank you so much. And lastly, so the student of, I think the third year student of some programs made a kind of short movie for the learning commons of Dosha University. Please look at. This is a kind of a PBL, project-based learning output.
不好意思，因为电脑因为显示跟它不同步，就这边影片有刚出来，但是上面没有，所以大家等一下，电脑重开一下。
You can have a break.
this is more kind of the industry type of the activities, but the Japanese university is now encourage students to make more industrial type of activity, even in the classroom. Okay, that part, that's all. So my lecture is all over. Thank you so much. Any questions? If you have any questions, please let me know and feel free to ask me.
请问各位同学有没有问题要提问？
Hi, teacher. I majored in political science, and I have a question to ask you. What is the main orientation of university education in Japan now? Because I saw so many pictures you show us, and the classroom or the space students stay in all have the computer or the screen. Yeah, so the Japan University want college student practice to be an office worker or the project maker that is help them to get used to go to work after graduating. Thank you.
Could you say the last part after?
A last part.
That's what.
Okay, yes. Because I saw many pictures with the space students staying with computer and screen. Yeah. So the Japan's university want college students to practice to be an office worker or the project maker that is help them to get used to go to work after graduating.
That is very important and very difficult questions. So the students, thank you. Most of the students who want to work after graduation for the big company. That is a typical Japanese student answer in the 10 years ago. But they do not have the clear image of the career and career life cycle. So now the Japanese university want to make them choose their own way. What they want to be, like the producer or engineer or kind of researcher and so on, and what kind of jobs they want to engage in. For example, accounting or kind of software engineer and so on. So it depends on the type of the department. That means a discipline. For example, discipline basis. For example, in case of education, most of the students want to be the teacher of the elementary or secondary school teachers. But some of the students in the economics or some of the students in the law department, they want to be, even though they want to be the lawyer, they want to be some of the research job. It is very small number. It is only the small number of the students can be the lawyer or kind of things. So they know the reality, and they should know through the lifestyle they want to make what kind of career they want to be engaged in. That is a kind of career education, and most of the department or faculty of the department are thinking in that way. Is it okay?
还有其他的你有问题吗？问题要问。
I'm a professor from the political science department. Yeah. As I imagine, the first year experience must have produced a lot of